Denver's pit bull ban stays. Mayor Michael Hancock issues his first ever veto. Is this about protecting people or about the mayor protecting himself? You have your primary ballot. We have a stack of questions about it. Let's get answering. And we celebrate love of all kinds on this Valentine's Day, from the burning hot animal kind to the somewhat tepid human variety.
I asked Laura if she wanted to get up and get married this morning, and she hesitated and said, now?
Love is in the air. Next. Denver's mayor has single-handedly kept the pit bull ban in place. Mayor Michael Hancock's first veto in his whole time in office blocks a repeal of that ban. Now, research shows that pit bulls are not disproportionately aggressive, and the CDC says that breed bans are ineffective. Mayor Hancock even acknowledged that breed bans are not effective today, but he also offered anecdotes about individual pit bull attacks. Part of Mayor Hancock's argument seemed to be opposition to inviting any new dogs to Denver.
And if we're already challenged with registering dogs in general, why would we think people are going to register their pit bulls? And so in a city that is growing as fast as we are, a city that's becoming more dense as we are, it does not make sense for us to add more dogs. Common sense tells you as we add more people, we're going to have more dogs, and potentially, and now that we allow pit bulls, we're going to have more pit bulls.
Councilman Chris Herndon, who's an ally of the mayor and is leading the repeal effort, told us that he is disappointed that Mayor Hancock, quote, chose to disregard the science. Herndon will need to flip a no vote to a yes vote in order to override the mayor's veto. That is really unlikely. So Herndon says he's going to look to put the issue in front of voters on the November ballot. Colorado's largest needle exchange, which tries to keep drug users alive long enough to seek treatment, has moved into a new neighborhood in Denver. I'll give you one guess on how neighbors are reacting to that. Our Ryan Harrer talked to the Harm Reduction Action Center about its new outreach campaign.
Sure, I think there's a lot of misinformation about people who inject drugs.
Lisa Rayville and the Harm Reduction Action Center have been doing this work for nearly 2 decades, offering a place for drug users to get clean needles, a place to get access to experts and treatment. It's become a crucial hub amidst the country's growing opioid epidemic, and without it,
I think HIV and hepatitis C rates would skyrocket, the streets would be littered with syringes, and people would be dying left and right.
So when their lease on Colfax was up, they found a new location 7 blocks south at 8th and Lincoln.
It's larger and it's on major bus lines.
A location near a number of businesses and apartments that have expressed concerns about this being nearby. Modo Apartments brought on an attorney who sent the center a letter threatening legal action if they moved in. The center moved in anyway, but has been trying to address concerns by meeting with their neighbors.
It's been really positive. We had a lot of one-on-one conversations and really talking about folks about what we do.
Another concern in the letter is the center's proximity to 3 schools. The Denver Board of Public Health and Environment gave them permission to be so close, citing the center's, quote, excellent track record and that Rayville's team serves more clients than all of the similar programs in the state combined. The attorney who sent that letter told us via email today that his apartment complex client believes in the Harm Reduction Action Center's mission, but that they and others in the neighborhood aren't sure that their backyard is the right place. And he wouldn't say if more legal action could be coming to the center trying to curb an epidemic.
Dead drug users do not have the opportunity for recovery. When people are alive, there's hope.
We did reach out to the schools that are within 1,000 feet of the center. 2 of them are DPS schools. A spokesperson said the center provides an important service and that they're optimistic that they will be good neighbors. The 3rd school is a school that actually serves students in recovery from addiction. Kyle, they echo DPS sentiments that this center is doing a good service for the community.
Complaints are one thing, legal action is another. Yeah. The school issue aside, is there another legal problem?
So another point that the attorney made inside of that action for demand had to do with the zoning. This is zoned as office space. The attorney argues that this should be medical space, but the Harm Reduction Action Center says we don't do any medical services. Sure, we provide clean syringes, we offer fentanyl testing strips, but we're not doing any actual medical services, so they say. They just offer gateways to treatment.
You know, some of their old neighbors didn't like him either. They used to be across the street from the state capitol, and I remember state legislators sitting here and complaining about him too. So
here we go again.
Nothing new. Hey, good to see Ryan Harrer on the program.
Thanks for having me.
All right. The last of Colorado's presidential primary ballots should have gone out in the mail to you today. And as you get them, we have been getting your questions about our first presidential primary in Colorado in 20 years. So Anusha Roy grabbed a stack of those questions and got to work.
When Sarah Heal's 17-year-old daughter was mailed a primary ballot, she was a little confused why her daughter would be allowed to vote already. Well, there's a new Colorado law that allows it. Since Sarah's daughter pre-registered and will turn 18 before the November election, she can participate in the March 3rd primary.
Lee Salmons asked, the Democratic ballot includes many names of candidates that have dropped out of the race. Will votes for them be counted, and if so, might that keep real candidates from reaching the percentage threshold for receiving delegates?
Ballots had to be certified by January 3rd, so there is a long list of candidates whose names are still on the ballot even after some of them dropped out. But those candidates can file paperwork to withdraw, so votes for them are not counted. The Secretary of State said so far only 2 former candidates have done that, Maryland Congressman John Delaney and Colorado Senator Michael Bennet.
If someone would have otherwise voted for a different candidate, yes, but either way, they're considered still candidates under Colorado law, and we have to count those votes.
Our next question requires taking a look at the ballot envelope. This one mirrors what people in Adams County are getting, and just above the QR code, there's a hole that reveals a color code showing what party a voter chose. The interim deputy county manager gave us a couple reasons why. The color helps them sort the ballot into the right pile, Republican or Democrat, but who people vote for will stay confidential. People with a visual disability will know where to sign right next to the hole punch. And after they remove the ballots from the envelopes, the county can put a rod through the hole to make sure they've removed all the ballots.
So it's going to be up to individual counties to decide if they want the ballot envelopes to have that hole punch. Denver is another place that people are going to be seeing this, but Kyle, not every county ended up signing up for it.
So, Anusha, so I get 2 ballots because I'm unaffiliated. I don't vote either of them because I feel like as a journalist I shouldn't. I just shred them. But you learned today that when somebody does vote one of the 2-party ballots,
right,
and they've got that other one that they're just going to toss, that's not what they want you to do.
No, the Secretary of State said, oh, you're supposed to send it back to the county clerk, not to your trash can. So there you go. Who would have thought?
I would not have thought. But
Yeah.
that's why you are in charge of the Q&A. Thank you, Nusha.
Okay.
We're getting some feedback about our reporting on the return of wolves to Colorado. We talked here about how there have been persistent wolf sightings in all of the decades since the last known wolf in Colorado was killed in the mid-1940s. And at least 2 of you asked me about what could be considered a conspiracy theory, the idea that wolves have always been in Colorado, and that state wildlife officials just didn't want to recognize that fact because if they admitted that wolves were here, then they would have had to spend time and money protecting them because they're covered under the Endangered Species Act. Okay, you got to admit that sounds kind of plausible, right? So Colorado Parks and Wildlife did poke one big hole in that conspiracy theory. They pointed out to us that since the wolves are endangered, they fall under the jurisdiction of the federal government's protection, U.S. Fish and Wildlife. If and when state wildlife workers spot evidence of wolves, like they recently did in Moffat County, they're supposed to just phone the feds and let them know that there are wolves there that need to be protected. Plus, you also have to remember what I told you last night, that back in the 1970s, the then Division of Wildlife was putting notices in newspapers actively asking people to give them evidence of wolves. That doesn't really sound like a cover-up. And these days, there's a wolf sighting form on CPW's website if you think that you have seen evidence of wolves in our state. We'll put that link in our wolf article on 9news.com.
It's helping people without a place to live get back on their feet. And if you think nearby businesses would be opposed, you've got it entirely wrong.
We just got married. I get to annoy her for the rest of my life.
That is a pretty realistic view of marriage. Denver's newlyweds share their good news next.
There are new apartments in Boulder that are aiming to stop youth homelessness from turning into adult homelessness. It's 40 affordable units for people between 18 and 25. This opened up in November. It's already full. Our Brian Wendland took his camera up to find out how the housing is helping both the people who live there and the people who live in the neighborhood.
I know some of them I'm very inspired by.
Whether friends or celebrities, Connor Lafferty has a way with portraits.
We have Emma Stone.
When she isn't creating, Lafferty is learning, going to school for business.
I want to have my own business, and I want to help other people with their artwork.
Her goals are laid out in front of her, but the path to achieving them hasn't been an easy ride.
Yeah, I've been homeless 3 times. The first time my family lost their house, the second time I lost my job, and the third time was a domestic violence situation.
That's where this new downtown Boulder affordable apartment building comes in.
We're helping young people navigate life from a place that was not great for them, considering the circumstances of living on the streets, to a place where they can be self-sufficient.
Chris Nelson is CEO of Attention Homes, a Boulder-based nonprofit that serves young people experiencing homelessness. This 40-unit apartment building opened in January, and already it's completely full.
They see downtown Boulder, they're part of the heart of this community, and that helps them understand their worth, their value, and their deservedness.
The location right in the middle of Boulder means residents can walk to work.
It also does provide just this close proximity of a talent pool that is available then for our businesses to recruit employees for their workforce.
Boulder Chamber President and CEO John Taylor says the new housing is a marriage of 2 big problems facing his city: affordable housing and businesses having trouble attracting employees.
That provides a lot more stability for the businesses in helping to retain those workers.
It's very stressful because you never know where you're going to stay the next night.
Lafferty doesn't have to worry about where she's going to sleep anymore.
It's kind of like having my own gallery, and I get to have separate exhibitions that I only get to see.
Now she can focus on her schoolwork and her art. For Next, I'm Brian Wendland.
Finally Friday, and a lovely day for Valentine's Day. How about temperatures today in the mid-50s? And we have just clear skies over Denver, dry pavement. What a shift in the pattern heading into the weekend. Although, if you are headed up to the high country, this next system is going to bring snow Saturday into Sunday and wind to the foothills, and it will impact the drive back. Tomorrow, no issues. Denver will be dry and sunny, although a few degrees cooler with this front coming through. The snow in the high country will turn heavy Saturday night into Sunday, and if you're coming back on Monday, Denver's got a shot at seeing a little bit of accumulating snow here as we kick off the new week. But not tonight. Beautiful. Partly cloudy, 22. Light winds in the city. Tomorrow, sunshine, low 40, so average highs not quite as comfortable as today. Back to the 50s Sunday. Snow showers Monday and Tuesday with colder temperatures. And then a string of dry days with warmer temperatures in the 40s for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Nigel and Conifer not really enjoying the dog days of winter. But I do love this picture so much. Happy Valentine's Day. Have a great weekend.
Bobcats celebrate Valentine's Day just like anybody else, screaming at each other at length. Hope everyone is enjoying this overly commercialized holiday, capitalizing on our love for one another.
Because I get to spend the rest of my life with him.
We celebrate what we hope is a lifetime of good news next.
Today is a great day to get married if you don't want to have to pay for decorations. I mean, everybody does it for you. It's fantastic. That is good news if you ask me. But we asked the couples who got hitched at the Denver courthouse.
On Valentine's Day is when we see a huge surge of folks getting married.
Let's go do it.
My good news is I got married today.
People are coming in. They know today is Day of Love.
I get to annoy her for the rest of my life.
My good news is we just got married. She's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
My good news is we're going to issue over 100 licenses for marriage today.
The good news was I asked Laura if she wanted to get up and get married this morning, and she hesitated and said, "Now? Okay, let's do it."
There's no shortage of weddings in this town, I tell you.
Good news, I get to spend the rest of my life with the woman I love. She gets to put up with me every single day.
Every single day.
What's the date today?
14.
Don't forget this date. It's Valentine's Day.
I know. Special day, you know.
Special day.
My good news is finding the love of my life and lifelong companion.
And I will love, respect, and cherish you always.
The good news is loving my soulmate and being with him forever now.
We just couldn't wait to marry each other, so we decided just to mosey on down to the courthouse on Valentine's Day.
Congratulations. Would you like to kiss the bride?
Any other good news?
We're going to be on TV.
Yeah.
Start of a honeymoon right there. We should all celebrate Valentine's Day like bobcats do. Caution, it's very loud. And a few of you caught something that I said tonight that I really should clarify. So we'll do that next. Lots of businesses in Colorado offer Valentine's Day promotions. It really is a shame, though, that nobody took advantage of the 2-for-1 Gator Wrestling at the Colorado Gators Reptile Park near Alamosa. No couples came in, so the park manager showed us what they were missing.
Roll over. Play dead. Good boy. Roll over. There we go.
Jay and Aaron Young are themselves a married couple. They went Gator Wrestling on their third date. The Gator Wrestling is done there at the park for a couple of reasons. It's how they give the Gators a checkup, and it's also how they move them into bigger ponds when they've outgrown the smaller ones. The Gators need to be moved today, hence the Valentine's Day 2-for-1 deal, which they had to just do themselves because nobody came by. They do make you sign a waiver. Let's keep it frisky in the animal kingdom, though, on this Valentine's Day. A next viewer sent us video of 2 bobcats in love. This may remind you of a relationship that you're in or that you got out of. I don't know. I've listened to this a couple of times, and I'm pretty sure that she's right and that he's wrong. I don't know. You can judge for yourself. A few of you wrote in tonight pretty disturbed about something that I said earlier. Andrea in Boulder said she was horrified by it. Stephanie wrote in and said, I was disconcerted tonight to hear you admit to shredding your primary ballots rather than voting one. You indicated that as a journalist you think it's appropriate to do. I don't vote in primaries. I do vote in the general election. I have wrestled with this, not like Gator Wrestling, but I've talked to you about how I think there's a really good case to be made that journalists who live in one area that's dominated by a certain political party, say Democrats in the city or Republicans in a more rural area, there's a good argument to be made for why journalists should be voting in those primaries. I've never been able to bring myself to do it because it requires you to check a box next to a party, and I'm unaffiliated. But every general election, you bet I vote. See you next time.